remember the two purposes, the only two purposes, because narrowing down the 10 Commandments to two, if we love God with all our heart, mind, and strength, and love our neighbor as ourselves, we don't want to steal from him.
That's right.
We don't want to hate him. We don't want to kill him, especially loving our enemies. We don't want to get back at him.
That's right.
And especially if you love God, 1 John 4:7-8. So if you love God, then love is of God. And everybody that loves God is born of God and knoweth God. And he that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love.
Right.
So if I love you, I love God. And if I don't love you, it's showing that I don't love God because I don't love you. If I can't establish love, love of God is not in you. So what's most important? What's the most important? Because here's the thing, if you're in God's face and you're seeking after God and you're seeking the things of God, secondly, because if you're seeking God, you want to seek the things of God as well, because there are benefits to seeking God. We won't go into that because that's a whole other sermon. But if you're seeking God, then you're going to be in line with everything that He has for you. And if you're seeking God, you're going to be in position for everything He has for you to do. Now see, if you're not focused on the right thing, you get out of position. And I remember when we were in high school, we had to learn how to do that trust thing. You know, where you cross your arms and lean back and you hope somebody catches you, and if they don't, you're just like, go beat them up after school. But here's the thing. We have people coming into this church who are saying, okay, God, I'm trusting you. And if we're not in the right position, they're just going to fall down and walk back out the door unchanged.
That's right.
If we're not in position doing what we're supposed to be doing, when they cross their arms and fall back, all they're going to do is hit the floor. And that's not the power of God, that's the power of gravity. So, if we're not in position, then not only does it affect us, it affects them. They're not being changed, they're not seeing the power of God because it's not within us to show them. So we need to stay focused. Thank you, Jesus. Stay focused. And here's the thing, it's hard to stay focused if you don't trust Him. See, we get so labored down with everything. And I have to apologize and repent to God. I'm like, God, I've been so tired lately that I'm like, God, I just need a vacation. And I got so caught up with, God, I just need a vacation. I need some time away from my kids. I need some time away from my husband. I just need a vacation. And I'm like, I'm trying at every turn to get a few minutes to myself. And God's saying, it's not vacation time, it's work time. So I'm walking around, God, I need a vacation, I need a vacation. I'm like, I've left my seed out in this outside by themselves, trying to get just a few minutes of reprieve. But if you're focused on the right thing, it's not a burden anymore. Because if you take His yoke upon you, which is lighter than our burden, if we're trusting God to take care of it, then it's not that heavy. And it's hard to explain this unless you've really experienced it. But just bear with me here. If you've got everything that everybody else has, and it's this thing called life, you've got your mortgage or your rent, you've got your utilities, and everybody else has these things. And I hear so many people going, oh, I got the bills, everybody's got bills. Everybody's got crazy family, or at least one or two of them. Everybody's got something extra on top of them. It may not be the same thing, but everybody's got issues. But if you're trying to do it all by yourself, then it's just going to wear you down and wear you out. Because the flesh can only handle so much stress. And see, what happens is, if your body is overly stressed, it starts to break down, wear down. You end up in the hospital with a panic attack or some other kind of stomach issues or heart issues or weight issues or just issues. But if you trust God, and you know that God's got it under control, then you don't have to worry about that. Because you know that, okay, I know the bills are going to be paid because I'm being obedient. And I'm trusting God because God is my provider and my supplier. And I'm not worried about what my kids are going to eat because I know God's going to keep the food on the table. And I'm not worried about, is my car going to be running today because I know God shall supply all my needs. But the thing is, a lot of times we hear preachers preaching about trust God and believe and just have faith, and we're like, what does that look like? Because if you tell somebody, okay, you need to go get this thingamabobber over here in the third drawer down underneath the with this. It's like they're searching and searching if they don't know what the thingamabobber looks like.
Right.
So if we say, okay, just trust God, and you're like, how do I trust God? Because all I see right now is the circumstances surrounding me. The thing that I looked up was trust was more so about abandonment. And see, we see abandonment as a bad thing, but only if we're the ones being abandoned.
Right.
If we're the ones doing the abandonment, it's not so bad.
Right.
To abandon, I looked in the Encarta dictionary because Webster's outdated. Looked in the Encarta dictionary for abandon, and it says to leave somebody or something behind for others to look after, especially somebody or something meant to be a personal responsibility. So if you have a personal responsibility and you abandon it, you leave something or somebody behind for others to look after. And that's a permanent thing. To leave a place or a vehicle, especially for reasons of safety and without intending to return soon. To renounce or reject something previously done or used. To surrender control of something completely to somebody else. To stop doing something before it is completed, usually because of difficulty or danger. Let me repeat that one because that one's poignant. To stop doing something before it is completed, usually because of difficulty or danger. If you're stuck in the wrong direction, focused on the wrong thing, and I'm thinking of Balaam heading towards the wrong way, and there's this big angel in the road, and his donkey stops and turns around and says, "Whoa, stop, you're going to die," I would say, let's abandon this road and get out of the way, because I'm about to complete something that's only leading to death. To give yourself over to a powerful emotion. Finally, abandon, number 7, is lack of restraint. Complete lack of inhibition or self-restraint. Now, in the Bible, you see abandon as something being left alone, something being rejected. But you also see praising God with abandon, meaning leave it all behind. Who cares about it all? Who cares about what's going on? Abandon it. Okay, picture, if you will, that old story about somebody throwing the little puppy into the basket, leaving it out in the country, and driving off. Now it's really sad because you got something cute stuck in the basket that you're leaving all by itself. But if you take out the puppy and put in all your junk, driving out into the middle of nowhere, put it in the basket, leave it there, and drive off for somebody else to find it. Make sure it doesn't make its way back, because some of us want to drop it off like across the street and it finds its way back home. But what you need to do is you need to go 50 miles out into the country, stick it out in the middle of the woods, and then drive off. Move, change your phone number, do whatever you got to do to cast your cares, and don't go back and pick it up. That's abandon. Abandon it. So if you're truly trusting God to be able to abandon all the other junk so that you can just be focused on God, that means you don't have to look at those issues anymore. That means God says, here's your answer. Just do it and move on. He's saying to test Him and try Him, just go ahead and abandon. And one of the things that God was showing me with this is I had a visual conversation with God while I was daydreaming. And it was kind of funny because I told somebody else about this. I'm like, God, alright, you gave me this task. And He's like, you want some help? I'm like, no, I got it. So I'm carrying it. And finally God goes, are you sure you got it? Because I can help you. I'm like, no, I got it. And as I'm saying this, I'm just sinking deeper and deeper. And I'm like, okay, it's getting heavy. And God's like, you want me to help you? I can help you with this. I'm like, no, I got it. As I sink deeper and deeper and deeper. Oh God, this is heavy. God's like, are you going to trust me with it now? No, I got it. I can handle it. Because I got to do this thing. And God's like, okay. Finally, I'm sitting here. God, help me! I'm sinking! God, help me! I can't hardly breathe! I need a medication! And God's like, oh, you sure you want help now? Because I thought you got it. Don't be smart now. You offered help. But it's funny because you're like, God, I got it. It's okay, I got it. And God's like, well, I gave you this task. I didn't that little things can break you. God sees you as fine china. He doesn't see you as weak. He sees you as fine china that needs to be taken care of. He sees you as something delicate and precious that you put up so that everybody can see it, that you only bring out on special occasions. This isn't just your everyday Cornell wear. You are His fine china. So if you're trusting Him, then you need to make sure that everything that you do, that you're doing under, number one, His direction, and number two, under His strength, because we know that we're too fragile to do this by ourselves. So in trusting God, I'm sitting here saying, help God. And God's like, all right, now it's time to come in and help you, because now you understand it. That this thorn, why would God bring us to a point where we don't need Him anymore? We got this thorn in our side, we're saying, God help. He's like, just remember you need me. I'm like, oh God, it hurts. He's like, remember, you need me. You still need me. And so for some of us it's money, because we're never going to, not me, I'm not speaking this into my life. But some of us, it's like, why would I give you all this money? Because if I give you this money, then you're not going to need me anymore. For some of us, it's, oh God, why am I still single? Because if I give you a man, he's going to replace me. If I give you this car, it's going to replace me. So why would I give this to you if I know you're not going to need me anymore? So He's going to leave that thorn in your side, or He's going to leave that something in your way to say, remember, you need me. You need me. I can't take care of my children by myself. Why? Because I need Him. I'm not all the mother that I need to be by myself. And that's a parent, because when I try to do it by myself, I'll lose my daughter. I need Him. And I'm like, God, I am humble enough. It's funny. We'll stand there in front of each other and say, oh, I'm not perfect. Oh, I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. And then when it comes to admit that we were wrong, we're like, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. No, I'm not perfect. I screwed up. Yeah, I did that. Okay, so now, once you've admitted you screwed up, you say, okay, God, how do I fix it? Because the hardest part is not admitting that you screwed up. The hardest part is, okay, now I got to go back and fix it. Now I got to go back and make this right.